Welcome to LMZ Tales channel. My name is Elizabeth Peter, the voice behind this channel. To support the growth of this channel, kindly subscribe, share and like this video. Disclaimer: this story is mainly fictional. Any resemblance with a real person or event is purely coincidence. Now, let's get to our story of the day. My name is Lillian George. I am a 19-year-old accounting student of the University of Benin, Nigeria. I am from a family of 4, although I personally consider Mrs. Leah as part of my family too. You may be wondering who Mrs. Leah is. Don't worry, you will get to know her shortly. My older brother Tomya, whom I fondly call TY, is 3 years older than me. Growing up, I thought we had it all. We had everything, or so I thought. I enjoyed every luxury that came with being wealthy. I was the envy of my friends and people around. I never felt what it meant to be hungry or to lack. I had everything at my beck and call. My parents worked so hard to give us every comfort we needed. My father was a business tycoon and was always busy. My mother worked with a company in my state and always came back home very late. She would often travel for conferences and trainings outside the state and sometimes even outside the country. Mrs. Leah, who had been my nanny when I was a baby, is more like a mother to me now. I was barely 3 months old when Mrs. Leah started taking care of me, and ever since, she has been the closest person to me. As a female worker, my mother was only entitled to 3 months maternity leave. So after I was born, my mother had to look for someone who would help to take care of her baby while she worked. A family relation introduced Mrs. Leah, who had recently lost her husband, to my mother. Mrs. Leah willingly accepted my mother's offer, as she had been looking for a job to take care of herself. She had been married for 10 years without a child, and when she came to live with us, she accepted me and my brother as the children she had always longed for. That was how Mrs. Leah came into my life. She had literally watched and helped me grow into the woman that I am now, and I am grateful that she came into my life. Mrs. Leah and our other domestic workers were the only people we always see around, as our parents were rarely ever home. At age 10, my brother Tomya was sent to a boarding school in Port Harcourt, while I went to a mixed day school in my state. After my brother's secondary education, my father secured him admission into the University of Port Harcourt. 3 years into his studies, my brother was brought home handcuffed like a criminal in a blue bus. I was at home that fateful day because our school was on vacation. It was about 4 p.m. and Mrs. Leah had gone to buy some food items in the market. I was to make dinner that day. Mrs. Leah had taught me how to cook and do other chores in the house. What happened to him? I asked, as I ran to embrace my brother, tears rolling down my cheeks. TY, what happened to you? I kept asking, while my brother just stared at me blankly. One of the men who brought my brother came to me, held my hand and led me to one of the chairs in front of our house. The man was a middle-aged man who later introduced himself to me as Mr. Thomas. I am sorry to say this, but your brother is deeply into drugs, Mr. Thomas said as he sat next to me. I work in the security department of the university where your brother schooled. Our attention was drawn to his violent behavior this morning in the school hostel. When we came over to the hostel, we had to restrain him in order to prevent him from hurting himself or anyone else, continued Mr. Thomas. One Mr. Fred John, who identified himself as your brother's friend, gave us this address. That is why we decided to bring him over. I silently listened to Mr. Thomas, tears still in my eyes, and inwardly wished that this was all a dream. The first time that I knew about my brother's use of drugs was when he was in SS2. The school principal had written a letter requesting to see my father in the school. When my father came home after his meeting with the principal, he told us that my brother's class teacher had found some hard drugs in his bag and had reported the matter to the school principal. For the first time in my life, I saw my father speaking very angrily to my brother. "You want to soil my name and bring shame to this family?" my father had asked, though the words came out more like a statement than a question. After that incident, my parents never talked about it again, at least not before us, and I thought the drug issue was over. Unknown to us, my brother continued to take the hard drugs even after he got admission into the university. In fact, the problem even became worse while in the university. We later found out that he rarely attended classes and hardly slept in the school hostel. I was heartbroken over my brother's situation and felt very angry with my parents for hardly being there for us. My brother wouldn't have gotten this far if my parents were more diligent towards their parental responsibilities, I thought to myself. I called my parents to let them know of what had happened. My father had traveled to Kogi State for a business meeting, and my mother had also traveled outside the country on an official assignment. My father requested to speak with Mr. Thomas and asked him to take my brother to our family hospital. My father transferred some money to Mr. Thomas to take care of all the expenses they had incurred while bringing my brother home, and some tips as a gratitude. When my parents came back from their journeys, our house never remained the same again. My parents often argued and blamed each other for what had happened to my brother. The peace we had known suddenly disappeared, and things never remained the same again. My brother was later admitted in a rehabilitation home, and I go to visit him every Saturday. When my mother filed for a divorce, I knew that things have gotten out of hand and our home may never be the same again. Now I know that money is not everything. Looking back now, I wish my parents were there for us. I wish we were just a simple but happy family. Above all, I wish my brother gets better quickly and we get back to being one family again. I miss my family. I truly do. Moral of the story: do not destroy your home in the quest for wealth. Money is not everything. Set your priority right. Thank you for listening.